Welcome to Let's Talk Books, Unscripted. That's good.
I was gonna hold it like this, and I was like, I guess I'll just.
You just do it that way.
Like normal.
So welcome back, episode 11. This is a podcast style series we're doing. A husband and wife who love to read, and we love to talk books. What are you drinking in your...
So ours is water again. Mine's just in a different water bottle. This time, here's our book sticker again, if we haven't mentioned that enough. Book sandwich sticker.
I'm drinking out of this green Yeti. It's water with ice. It's pretty good.
So, I think I said in one of our last ones, though, if you're snacking on something, share that too. We just finished off a frozen pizza because we didn't eat enough dinner. So we had that as a snack before hopping on here.
We're filming this, so it's about almost 10 o'clock at night, so we needed a little pizza.
It was a late night.
A little pizza action.
Second dinner.
It was really good, though. So I think we each have 2 books to talk about, and then we're going to touch on another subject that we want to talk about with everyone. That we think is kind of a good topic to just share our thoughts on, and maybe have you comment on what your thoughts on the topic are as well.
So I guess we'll start off by talking about the books. But I have 2 to talk about. I finished 2 books since we last talked. So I feel like I obviously was pretty far through both with being able to finish 2 of them since we were last on here. This one is my brother's book, The Boy in the Clouds. I know I have brought this one up before. It took me a little longer to get through just because I was reading like 1,000 other books at the same time. It was not because I wasn't enjoying it. It's not my normal genre, though. It is fantasy and then falls into the middle grade fiction category too. But I would definitely recommend it for adults. So I very much enjoyed it. It made me cry a few times, and not just because I'm biased and it was my brother who wrote it, but just the content in it had some emotional elements. It's essentially about big feelings. That's what the book is about, and recognizing those big feelings. We all have them, and not trying to shove them down and not deal with them properly. So I think he did a really good job of talking about what can sometimes be a touchy subject. Watch the dogs.
Our dog's like right next to me.
His tail is going crazy, and I'm a little nervous about him knocking over our
he's got a toy.
Knocking over our ring light here. So hopefully that does not happen. Like when we had a plant knock over in one of our previous episodes. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyway, check this book out. If you happen to be local to me and you're watching, he does have copies of this, or at least one copy that I saw, I think maybe a couple, and a copy of one of his other books as well. So this is his 4th book, but they have them at one of our local bookstores. It's called The Bookstore. I think we mentioned it in a previous episode. So check it out there. Otherwise, you can get it on Amazon, and I'll make sure that is linked in the description of our video.
For sure.
Do you want to take a turn?
Yeah, I'm going to show my progress with this book, Hedging Your Bets. You can see my bookmark. I got my Abe Lincoln bookmark.
How did you even get that from?
I have no idea, but I really... it's in this book, I guess. I'm about halfway through, so... we're getting to the point where, they're getting a little more friendly. Because, this is an enemies to lovers style rom-com, and they're starting to get a little more friendly. Nothing's really happened yet, so...
Another slow burn.
It's a slower burn, but I'm really liking it. I mean, it's about what you expect from most rom-coms. If you read rom-coms, you kind of know what to expect a lot.
They're the same plot. Spoiler alert.
A lot of times they're similar, yes.
Or very similar, yes.
This one's different, but it's similar for sure. But I like it. I like them. That's why I continue to read them. But we're going to see what happens. But we're getting to that point where things are going to start happening soon. And then hopefully all goes well. But who knows?
I'm going to venture a guess that it ends happily. It's just a guess.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you read a book. So just funny side note. It's not funny because the book was actually very sad. But... so when it's not advertised like this, for example, like cutesy cover, you're like, okay, that's a rom-com. You know, that's where it gets like the comedy in it, and like it's very likely gonna have a happy ending. Not the book that we chose for book club last year around Christmas time. I was so angry, and it was like one that I really, really wanted to read. It was like my choice, I guess, or it was the one we all landed on. So I'll say it right now for you in case, you know, with this next Christmas season. If you are not in the mood for a sad book, then don't read Always in December. And this is not a slam to the author. I actually thought it was a really good book. It's just that I was not expecting it. And so, just a fair warning. Sometimes it's nice to have like a melancholy. You're making the screen really
Is that a
dark again
spoiler?
when you do that. Puts the book like up to the screen.
I want them to see the book, not my face.
And then it makes it all dark back here.
Okay.
But yeah, that book is, I know we're like far away from Christmas anyway, but it'll creep up on us. But yeah, if you want to avoid a book that will just wreck you, I won't give it away in case you do want to read it, but it's called Always in December. I don't know, it's like part of me wants to read her other ones because she does have a few others, and maybe I would enjoy it more knowing that that's kind of her vibe.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a rom-com author, she's a romance author. Probably sad elements.
Romance is not always happy, yes.
Yeah, in her books, but anyway.
I like the
digress.
cutesy ones though, because I like to look at. I judge them by their covers
Yes.
a lot, like you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
they're all similar, is what we're saying. But if you're into that, then you'll like this one as well.
Yeah. Moving on. Sorry about that. Get a little off topic sometimes. This is not a rom-com. This falls into the historical fiction category, which isn't always my chosen genre. But I am reading more of it these days and enjoying it because it just kind of depends on what the book is. But this one, so speaking of book club, I brought up book club. This is our book club choice, and we're going to actually be talking about it tomorrow night. It's called The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. Maybe you've heard of it before. And there's actually a sequel too, so I'm going to want to check that one out eventually as well. I think it's called The Bookwoman's Daughter. But this is based on true events, or like not true events, but based on actual people from Kentucky. I had to do some of my own research when I started reading it because they're blue, like they're legitimately, their skin is blue, and there's a term for it and everything. And the author did a crazy amount of research. I learned a lot just by even reading the end part of this book because it does have a group guide, and then there's like some pictures from like the actual time frame. They're black and white, so I know they're probably hard to see. But just about, this time frame in history. Here's like a really cool public library service in Kentucky map. So that's the thing. She's a librarian essentially who delivers books on a horse or a mule. The main character has a mule named Junia, and she kind of is like a character in and of herself in the book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. The pace was slow, but I really enjoyed the content and just learning about this group of people that I knew nothing about before I started reading this. But what I did do is I did a combination of reading the physical book and listening to it on audio. So I feel like that helped it move along a little bit better for me when I was listening versus physically reading it. And I did like the narrator. So I know that sometimes that can make or break an audiobook experience for you if you can't really stand the person's voice or whatever. But no, doing it that way really helped me. So I'm excited to discuss this one tomorrow night at book club.
Nice.
Yeah.
What genre would you say?
Historical fiction.
Yeah. That's what I would have thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, it's not, I mean, it is a novel. It's not, nonfiction, but that is what historical fiction is typically it is inspired by true events or people who actually lived or, things that have happened. So, I found it to be really, really interesting. So it was like, she's from the Pack Horse Library. And you would get a kick out of this. He's a mail carrier, if we haven't told you that before. And it said something along the lines of, and I think in the story too, about how they're similar to mail carriers, where it's like, what's the phrase of like, you like, there's no snow, no rain, whatever it is. There's like a phrase about how like, you're going to be out in it delivering the mail, and in this case delivering books, and they did it on horse or mule, through not great conditions
awesome.
sometimes and everything. And that's just what was so cool about it, is I love books about books and about the power of books and reading, and that's why this was a really special read in and of itself for that. Just because, it shows the power of it, and the impact that, during some of these times, some people were depressed or lost a loved one or whatever they might be going through, and that they looked forward to this book woman delivering them some books to read. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So my second book, this is one I brought up a couple episodes ago. This was a book that I was trying to get back into. I actually bought it. We bought it last fall. And I started it then, and I kind of shelved it for a little while. So I tried to get back into it this past week, and I just cannot do it. I don't know what the reasoning is, but I just can't get into the story. And I just can't get into the writing style. So I'm going to shelve it again. I'm not going to give up on it, but I'm going to shelve it again because I just can't get into it. Maybe it's my mood, or maybe this isn't an author that I'm going to enjoy reading. I know this is his most recent book, and he's written 40 books. So a lot of people love his writing, but I'm just not getting into it, and I'm going to take a break from it. And that kind of leads us into our topic today, which is, when do you decide to DNF a book? What makes you decide you're not going to finish a book, or if you're going to take a break from a book? But I think, the big one is, what makes you decide to not finish a book?
And then we're going to touch on how you might rate books too, because I actually talked about that on over on Instagram today as well. But I guess I can start us off without getting. We'll try not to be too wordy because we're already over 12 minutes in. But yeah, for me, it takes a lot for me to decide not to finish a book. And I think my reason for that is that if I've already committed a certain amount of time to reading, we have 3 young children. I don't get as much time to read as I would like. I know that's shocking. With 3 young children, and they're all home, everybody's home, now for the summer too. So I don't really get a lot of that during a normal day. So to me, it's my time is valuable, and it's if I sit and commit to reading a book that I was excited to read, and for whatever reason I'm not loving it, but I don't ever want reading to feel like a chore or feel like I have to push through something, because life is too short and there's too many books. So yeah, I do really try to give it a valiant effort though before I'll completely throw the towel in, because there have been times where I've been glad I didn't give up on a book, because it was it just was slow for whatever reason for the first however many pages. Then I was I feel this need to keep going because I think it's gonna get better, and then it does. That does not always happen though. So I will say on the flip side, and so I don't know if I necessarily have a page number in mind, but I typically will give it the first 50 pages, which I think is actually still pretty significant. To read 50 pages and then still decide to be done. But that's kind of around where I'll be if I'm still not into it at the 50 page mark, I might do what Corey said and just be maybe it's not for me right now, but it doesn't mean that I won't come back to it. Because I've done that with a couple books in the last year, where it just I must just not have been in the right mindset, or it just felt slow to me, and I would read however many other books before, even though I had started that one and I still was barely into it, so I'm this just isn't working. But no, there have been a couple where I was just nope, I am not interested in ever coming back to it. And it's rare for me, but yeah. And
I don't think you should feel bad about doing that.
Right, because not every book is for everyone. That's just
there's going to be books that you're going to read, or you're going to start them, or maybe it's just not the right author. And like Katie said, there's so many books to read, and there's so little time to read them. So
there's so many, not very many hours in a day.
You might as well, if you're not really into a book within that first amount of time, just to move on, or take a break from it, or just move on. a lot of the books I like to read, I know a book is good when it kind of hooks me from the beginning. Or like you can tell early on that you're going to like it. And if I'm not going to feel that, then it's going to be hard to continue with it.
Yeah.
And I probably will want to, or I'll keep going, but I'm starting to realize maybe I shouldn't. Maybe just move on, shelve it, or just forget about it altogether and just say, this isn't my book, or this isn't my style, or this isn't my author. I don't think you should ever feel bad about doing that, but it is hard. It is hard to do that. I mean, we both struggle with it. Even me saying I'm going to shelve this one is hard because I'm not a quitter. But it is okay to be one with books because you can't read them all. I mean, we wish we could.
Yeah.
So you need to, make sure.
At the end of the day, you do not want to force yourself to enjoy a book because you know what? Somebody else probably will enjoy it. I mean, like he said, this author, I don't know how many books he has, but it's like a lot. So clearly people are reading them and are enjoying them. So one person out of, however many people, it's okay. If like Corey's just not, might just not be into it. But.
Spend your reading time wisely.
Yes.
It's like for everything. Time is valuable. So why waste it reading books you're not really into?
Not fully enjoying, yes. But yeah, and then I just wanted to touch on, so speaking of books you may not enjoy or may love, on the opposite scale, I, for the longest time, have been doing what a lot of people do is give a book a star rating, and that's how I've been doing it in my book reviews on social media. But I saw someone else share, and I thought it was really inspiring because I just hadn't looked at it this way before. But that she decided to ditch star ratings altogether, except for on Goodreads, and Storygraph is another app that I just started using recently. They do ask you for, I guess on Storygraph they just say like, do you want to rate this book? You don't actually have to. You can just share your thoughts and not even give it a rating at all. But on Goodreads, like, I think you can mark it complete and not rate it. I guess I've never really tried
you don't have to rate it,
to not, or to do that or not. But they do have it, where you can do your star rating. So I'll keep doing that there, and then still do my like written review on there as well. But on social media, I've decided to ditch that. So again, I was inspired by this other great girl on Instagram that I like to follow, just because I feel like very often if an author comes across your review, for example, and they see that you gave it like 3.5 stars or 4 even, which I think 4 is still a really good rating, but an author may see that and be like, oh, what was like missing from my book that they couldn't quite give it that last star or 1.5 stars or whatever it is. And so I don't ever want to like unintentionally offend an author. I mean, I know that they probably, have to get, or they do get a thick skin after a while because they're going to realize that not everybody's going to love their book. But they're still humans too. And like, I just want like social media to be a kind place, overall. And again, not that we shouldn't feel like we can't give an honest review in that space. But I don't think it needs to come with a star rating. So I've decided to, again, move away from that and just put like, I loved it, that's going to be a 5-star, in my mind, or I enjoyed it. I liked it. And then last but not least would be, this wasn't for me, but then I've included, but it might be for you. And I think that's the important part to like remember or keep in mind, is that like what we were saying is that, not every book is for everyone. So maybe a book that I didn't absolutely love, somebody else will love it and recommend it to everybody. So we just have so many different opinions on books and what works for us and what doesn't. So I've just decided to kind of go with like a little phrase with my reviews, because I, again, don't want to then unintentionally discourage a reader from reading something that I didn't particularly love, because they might love it. So
I thought I was kind of peeking in on our book club, last book club. I kind of sit in sometimes and listen because I like to hear about the books. And they were deciding which book to read next, and every time a book came up, everyone went directly to Goodreads. And I was like, ooh, this only got 3.7. And they were almost deciding at that point not to read it, which I thought was crazy. I just did a review on Goodreads that I gave an easy 5 stars to. It was a book I read and I was reading some of the 1-star reviews, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But that's just the thing.
It's
Everyone's
just so
got different opinions. So a 5-star rating it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've always thought it should be 10 out of 10. But I was thinking about today. I do a lot of cooking at our house, and sometimes my son will rate my food. And if he gave me a 3 out of 5, I would be offended. I mean, I just spent 4 hours making this.
Right.
So I was like, I get it, it makes sense.
There are people that like you saying on Goodreads, so that's why I'm even like, I'm starting to cringe at like even giving the stars on there too, because some people will not even read what you actually wrote for the review. They will literally just look at the star rating, and if it's not at least 4 stars, they won't read it, period.
I just thought, with your book club, I thought that was, I was kind of like, I don't like that. Yeah. I think that's hard.
Not giving the book a fair chance at all,
and
when our book club might really enjoy it.
And she's got a lot of judgies in her book club. They're really,
I love them all,
I feel like me and Katie are pretty like, we love a lot of books, and we love to give 5 stars.
I give 5 stars pretty
But there's people we know that probably will never give a 5-star review to someone, and that's,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, I love this book, but I didn't give it 5 stars. That just seems weird. Yeah. So this system she come up with, I think, is a lot more just friendly.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
It's not going to discourage. We don't want to discourage someone from reading a book based on their rating.
Based on how you felt about it. Yeah.
That's just not. Because the chances are they could love it. They could love a book that you did not love as much.
Yeah.
So you never want to discourage someone from not reading a book based on your opinion, because you're not them.
Right.
And that you have to remember that. And maybe people shouldn't be reading the ratings as much. Mm-hmm. If you like a book, just read it.
Yeah.
If you think it sounds good, you like the cover, whatever, just read it. Don't look at the reviews. Maybe look at the reviews after.
Yeah, there are people who are like, oh, I don't even read a review until after.
I gave it 4 stars, and then go back and
see what other people thought.
Some of the 1-star reviews are hilarious, but
yeah, we're long again. We said we weren't going to.
We did a great job. Next episode under 20 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta try for under 20.
Yeah, let us know what you think about what we talked about.
About not finishing books, if you're able to do it, or it's hard for you.
Yeah, or when do you decide?
How you rate books, if you've never been a star rating person, or that's what you do like, or if you appreciate seeing a star rating, or you kind of feel similarly to like how how we're feeling about it now. Would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah. But we'll see you on the next time.
Bye.